ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 4, verse 66. More, some more nectar today. Mai nirbadha hridayaha. Oh yeah, it was over. Chha, I thought like more nectar. No, this nectar was over yesterday. Okay, 67. मत्सेवया प्रतीतं ते सालोक्यादि चतुष्टयम् नेच्छन्ति सेवया पूर्णाः कुतोऽन्यत् कालविप्लुतम्. Nice. My devotees who are always satisfied to be engaged in my loving service are not interested even in the four principles of liberation. Four principles of liberation, meaning Salokya, Sarupya, Samipya, Sasti. Although these are automatically achieved by their service, what then is to be said of such perishable happiness as elevation to the higher planetary systems? Matsevaya pratitam. Matsevaya te satisfied, very satisfied. Okay. Prabhupada is added. Okay. So devotees are always satisfied to be engaged in loving service of Krishna. They are not interested in anything else. They are not interested even in liberation, which means that they are not even interested in Vaikuntha. So what then about some higher planetary systems? Srila Bilvamangala Thakura has estimated the value of liberation as follows. Mukti swayam mukulitanjalihi sevate sman dharmartha kama gataya samaya pratikshaha. Bilvamangal Thakur realized that if one develops his natural devotional service to the Supreme Person of Godhead, Mukti stands before him with folded hands to offer all kinds of service. In other words, the devotee is already liberated. There is no need for him to aspire for different types of liberation. The pure devotee automatically achieves liberation even without desiring it. But we should understand this verse is talking about a very higher stage in devotion. When he develops his natural devotional service means devotional service in constitutional position, which means that we're close to perfection. Then it says Mukti stands before him. Of course, from another perspective, if we see what is that, the different stages of bhakti, then Nishtha is actually Mukti. Nishtha is Mukti, and in Nishtha, devotee has not actually realized this constitutional position. So, in that sense, Mukti is achieved even before that. Brahmabhuta is achieved at Nishtha, stage of Nishtha. But anyway, Bilvamangal Thakur is saying, or at least Prabhupada is translating it as um, when one develops his natural devotional service. Maybe we can understand it as just engaging in service, but yeah. But the important thing again here is one has to be satisfied. One has to be satisfied by devotional service. One will be satisfied in devotional service only when they offer loving service. Not when we do service for the sake of doing service. Um, mm. Again, so important point is that how are we going to achieve perfection? We are going to achieve perfection in Kali Yuga by the special mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Like I was saying, I was reading somewhere Prabhupada saying that, so this is a situation for Matajis and Prabhus who are married. Mm. That we have Varnashrama duties, which are more than one, which are complex to deal with many times, which require our attention, which require our time. And in case we don't do it, we have to accept the result of that, not doing that karma, not doing our duty as karma phala. So fortunate are those brahmacharis and sannyasis. Of course, brahmacharis also have duty towards Guru. Sannyasis also have that. Sannyasis have duty towards society and all other ashramas, etc. But it's all in devotional service. So it's not, doesn't look like outside devotional service, while the activities of a family person looks outside devotional service. That is one. The second thing is, because it's actually not directly devotional service, there is karma and karma phala. So those who don't do their responsibility properly get karma phala. And what happens to this karma phala? This karma phala remains with us. In case we don't achieve perfection, then we have to suffer that karma phala in the next life. So this is the answer to various philosophical questions that we've been having. If you achieve perfection, then that karma phala is gone. But it's not that we are not getting any karma phala. We are getting karma phala with all our actions that we are doing. So we have to be careful that we don't create a situation where we do wrong things. At the same time, we have to make progress in devotion. This is the challenge in the life of a Grihastha. Which is why brahmachari life is chill. Brahmachari life is really no tension, no worry life. Of course, not everybody can come to that stage. Because coming to brahmachari also means that they have crossed all this somehow. They have crossed all these stages. So they don't even have to engage in any work which might bring them karma phala. Of course, I mean, then there are also those who are not actually brahmachari quality, but somehow, for whatever various reasons, they become brahmacharis in ISKCON, etc. Anyway, we don't want to talk about them. We're talking about proper brahmacharis. So proper brahmacharis and sannyasis, they are safe. But Grihastha's life is difficult. Obviously, we can't run away from it. And like I was saying, that Krishna knows what is the best way for us to make progress. What is the best way of purification of our material desires or attachments and this and that and all that. So he puts us through that ashram. So we don't have to get too perturbed about this, but I'm just stating philosophy that don't think that you don't have karma phala. We should not act like already on a liberated platform. Actually, if we are liberated, then it's okay, but we should not artificially act on that platform. Uh, if we still have some, attachments, material attachments, this, that, and all that, then we cannot just simply not do our duty and run around. That is one. Second thing is, when we have taken up a responsibility, we have to do that, irrespective of what position we are in. This is also important. Like, um, in case we think that we are already liberated and we can't deal with our current ashram, etc., okay, then we have to go to Guru and Guru has to give us permission, then okay, done. We finish the ashram business. But otherwise, and again, I'm reading philosophy. Philosophy is saying, I should just dedicate my whole life to Krishna and I should not do anything else. But then Guru says, get married. You have to get married. Because then, like yesterday, we were reading that whatever he says will override Shastra also. That is the amazing thing about the pure devotee Guru. If he says, of course, it's not overriding Shastra means that he will not say anything outside Shastra, but if he says one aspect, I mean something which is also Shastra, then there is other aspect which could have been used to override. For example, okay, Sarva Dharman Parityaja. Now you can say, okay, Krishna is saying give up all dharma, so I'm going to give up my Grahastha Dharma. But in case Guru says, no, you have to be in Grahastha Dharma, then that is a path for perfection, not giving up Grahastha Dharma. So we have to understand ultimately it is Guru. He is the boss. So we should not take these things lightly, saying that, oh, I've understood so much philosophy, so I will decide. Philosophy is of no use unless we surrender to Guru. So these things are important, but we still should do loving devotional service. See, this is the thing, right? Whatever little service we do, we can still do it lovingly. Mm. It's not that we have to be only engaged in for, like if I'm engaged only 20 hours a day, then I'm engaged in loving devotional service. No. Even if you're engaged for 5 minutes, we can be engaged in loving service. And when we are engaged in loving service, like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, for such a person, he doesn't have to give up any duty, he doesn't have to take up any duty. It's like that. Meaning, even it's there, it's okay. Even if it's not there, also it's okay. Not that, oh, it's there, no, I'm going to run away from it. No, that's not elevated position. So we have to understand this. Uh, um, so I'm saying these things which are not necessarily stated in the purport because of various side conversations that have been happening over the last few days. So we have to understand that the important thing is to be engaged in loving devotional service. It doesn't matter what ashram we are in. We still continue to do our responsibilities. Now, this is one thing. The other thing also which I'm seeing, which is also not good, um, as part of this parampara, is that when we are still, when we have strength in our body, we should not think about retirement. We should now, for example, everybody, we are all doing chanting every morning, and then we are praying. No, I'm praying for service in Goloka. It's like, I want service in Goloka, I want service here. Is it correct? Is it correct? So don't hanker to go back to Krishna. Krishna has already given us a service, which is to work on his behalf. We have to do his work here. That's why we are here. So we have to wholeheartedly engage in devotional service in Bhuloka. Then Krishna will mercifully take us to Goloka. Otherwise, we have been sent here, we have been given some service and we are saying, no, I want to go to Krishna. Krishna says, but I've sent you there for some purpose. Serve according to my desire. So please understand one thing, that these things are very complex. Generally, these things are not discussed too much also. But it is important for us to understand that we have to do our duty. We also have to do devotional service. Not just chanting and our own personal bhajana. We have to serve Krishna's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. That's why I said, saying that how will we achieve perfection in Kali Yuga? By the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not happy with somebody sitting and doing bhajana. He wants us to do service. Of course, then we have to consider our physical condition, all that. But not that we, if at all we are hankering for anything at this stage in our life, it should be to spread Krishna consciousness. It should be our hankering. And associated things which are favorable, which can help us do that. And it's actually very somewhat funny situation ours, because even if you have to do anything, nothing is in our hands. And especially this we experience when we take up services which are beyond our ability. And then we think that, I was thinking, Krishna, I want to do service to you, for which you only have to give mercy. It's a like really helpless situation. We can't do anything, just like we think that, okay, somebody at home, I will do this and please them. I will not ask them, maybe somebody wants to give some surprise, whatever, right? I mean, you'll do it independent of that person knowing, right? And then that person will feel happy. But here, there was no such chance with Krishna. We have not reached that stage where we can say, no, no, no. Or no, we'll never reach that stage, because everything is in Krishna's control. And we feel helpless in this miserable material world to do anything. So we end up coming to asking Krishna only, whether directly or indirectly, it doesn't matter. Indirectly, directly, we're dependent on him. Even if one Bhagavatam set has to be distributed, we have to depend on him. Then we have to depend on him to please him. This is our helpless situation in this material world. Of course, when we go to Goloka, it's different. It's different. And also not just Goloka. Even when we reach higher stages of devotion, also it's different actually. Krishna will be waiting to do whatever the pure devotee wants. It's not like he doesn't even have to ask. A pure devotee doesn't even have to ask. He just desires. And his desire is simply to please Krishna. And he will think about it in loving devotion. And so Krishna will think, oh, no, 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 this is not possible. No, but I'll make it happen. So there Krishna willingly, he will himself do. Here we have to say, Krishna, please, 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 please. We're at that stage. But the point is that still Krishna is seeing our love. He's not seeing our ability to do something. We don't have any ability to do anything. It's very, very important. That's why engaged in my loving service. That's the key. That's the key. We should develop that love for Krishna. Do anything for his pleasure. Depend on him. Can't be otherwise. Of course, mukti and all is, who cares? Who cares for mukti? What are we going to do by getting mukti? Huh? What will you do? Distribute Bhagavatam in Brahma Jyoti? So, no use. This mukti and all is nonsense, So, we are so fortunate, Prabhupada has given us such a process that for something that most other processes of yoga, they struggle for years. We just like throw it into the dustbin, like it's of no value. Really, I mean, are you so arrogant? Yeah, in one way, yes, because we want bhakti. We don't want mukti. If there is some condition saying that, no, no, you have to get mukti and, you have to give up devotion, we'll say, no, we don't want mukti. Right? So we don't want mukti. We want bhakti. We want that pure devotion. To serve Krishna with all our heart. So, yeah. Sadhavo hridayam mayyam sadhunam hridayam tvaham madanyate na janati naham tebhyo managapi. Pure nectar flows. Pure devotee is always within the core of my heart. And I am always in the heart of the pure devotee. My devotees do not know anything else but me. And I do not know anyone else but them. What an amazing verse. Since Durvasa Muni wanted to chastise Maharaja Ambarīṣa, it is to be understood that he wanted to give pain to the heart of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the Lord says, Sadhavo Hrudayam Mahyam. The pure devotee is always within the core of my heart. So just imagine, if in case we do Vaishnava Aparadha, whom are we hurting? We are hurting Krishna. Mhm. So that's why we have to be careful about this Vaishnava Aparadha, because directly we are hurting Krishna. Pricking Krishna's heart. But look at this. I mean, this is not easy. This is not easy, right? Hmm. What stage of devotional service should we reach for Krishna to be always thinking about us? Unimaginable. Great exalted souls will be on that platform where Krishna will think about them. In our life, maybe we are trying to think about Krishna as much as possible. Maybe somebody is thinking about Krishna all the time also. But when will Krishna start to think about the devotee? That is left to him. That nobody can control. That we cannot say that, okay, Krishna, because I'm always thinking about you, you should also think about me. No. No condition like that. We can't put any condition like that on Krishna. He will decide. Of course, then Acharyas also say he's normally reciprocate. So if somebody's heart is full of Krishna 24 hours, then naturally Krishna will reciprocate. But we cannot force Krishna. We cannot say, Krishna, Krishna, you have to reciprocate. You keep me in your heart. Hmm. Who is there in Krishna's heart? Hmm? Who is there in Krishna's heart? Radha. So only if Radha tells Krishna, saying that Krishna, please accept them. Then Krishna will keep them in their heart as required by Radha. Otherwise, there is no place in Krishna's heart. There is no place in Krishna's heart for Chandravali only. What about us? Huh? The only reason possibly he will have and some place for us in his heart is if Radha recommends. So, which is why, this path of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very, very important. There is no other way by which we can get Radharani's mercy. There's no other process. There's no process. There's no process to please Radharani. Process is to please Krishna. The only process to please Radharani is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. Which is why I keep saying that, do something in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, in Prabhupada's movement. More we engage, we are directly pleasing Radharani. There's no other way. There's simply no other way. And other yogas, anyway, useless, right? Other yugas, also it's Krishna. You're so fortunate that we are in that yuga where Chaitanya Can you imagine? I mean, just the fortune. Once in a day of Brahma, in that day, one Chaturyuga, in that Chaturyuga, in that Kali Yuga, we are born. How fortunate we are. It's unimaginable. It's unimaginable. Otherwise, we can go to Krishna, but we can't go to Radha. Sadhavo Hrudayam Mahyam. The pure devotee is always within the core of my heart, Krishna says. The Lord's feelings are like those of a father who feels pain when his child is in pain. Therefore, offenses at the lotus feet of a devotee are serious. Okay. Krishna put some words in my mouth. Okay. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has very strongly recommended that one not commit any offense at the lotus feet of a devotee. Such offenses are compared to a mad elephant because when a mad elephant enters a garden, it causes devastation. Therefore, one should be extremely careful not to commit offenses at the lotus feet of a pure devotee. Now, how do we know who is pure? We can't make out who is pure just like that. And because of our bad habit of talking about other devotees, just imagine if in case the devotee we are criticizing, condemning is a pure devotee, then we directly are hurting Krishna. On one end we do this, on the other end we are trying to serve Krishna. We are trying to offer bhoga to Krishna. We are trying to do other things for Krishna. What is the use? If we have pained somebody, will they take our love? If you have hurt somebody so badly that, and you make some very nice dish and take it in front of them, they won't eat it. They won't want it. So we should understand this. Stop this criticizing business. Start criticizing. Oh, now somebody will say, no, 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 bro, I'm talking about service. I'm talking about improvement of service. No need to talk so much, right? No need to talk for hours. Huh? And I've been saying this, it's the difficult service of somebody who runs a center, temple to take care of all this. It's their headache. Don't take that headache onto yourself. It's without that, life is very easy. Taking that headache is really a headache. But leave it to those people who have to deal with it. And be carefree. Engage in loving devotional service. Simply engaging in this tutu, meme. And these criticisms happen just like this, like general conversation. Sometimes I've seen this, in different scenarios. Somebody came and asked me in one of the festivals, saying that, Prabhu, can this be done? I said, no, Prabhu, it's Astra doesn't approve. See, that person is doing it, criticizing. Now, till there it was okay. Can this be done? Okay, yes, it can't be done. I learned, okay, that this should not be done. I will not do. That's the end of that learning, right? But then taking it next step, saying that, see, this devotee is doing this, which means what? Which means that I want to criticize that devotee. But why do I want to criticize the devotee? Whether he is right or wrong, I am not the one who's supposed to judge that. It is Krishna. My job is to learn. Okay, if somebody is doing a mistake, Prabhu, is this wrong? Is this allowed? Not allowed? Okay, I'll make sure that I won't do it. That's all. I mean, this is like, we can't stress this more. And it might seem to people just like ordinary conversation. We talk about people and say, he's like this, he's like that. We should not do that. It's very dangerous. Like again, I'm saying, we should not get too frightened about this and just close our eyes to everything also. If somebody is doing some mistake, take it to authority, simple. And taking it to authority is not offensive. Criticizing a devotee is offensive. Taking an objective view, saying that, Prabhu, can this be done? Okay, you're now talking to, say, the person responsible for the center temple, saying that, Prabhu, can this be done? No, this can't be done. Okay, but I just want to inform you that, this is happening in this service. So maybe you might look at it. That's all. Okay, then you might only ask, okay, who, where, what. And for as information we can give and come out. That's all. Because our goal was not to criticize somebody. Our goal was to correct service, right? And then we can just say that that's not Vaishnava Aparadh. Vaishnava Aparadh is when, this gossip mode. And that is why then that's when Vaishnava Aparadha happens. Or sometimes, that keeps happening. Then we see the devotee, we'll directly speak in front of the devotee only. It's even worse. Both of them are Vaishnava Aparadha. Not that we have to be speaking only in front of a person to be doing Vaishnava Aparadha. We can. Most of the times it will be in the back only, talking to somebody else about some devotee. But at the same time, we have the responsibility towards Prabhupada, ISKCON. And so we might have to do those things, speak when required in the right forum. Actually, Maharaja Ambarīṣa was not at all at fault. Durvasa Muni unnecessarily wanted to chastise him on flimsy grounds. Flimsy, meaning no basis, actually, no strong basis. Simply, like they say in English, simply. Maharaja Ambarīṣa wanted to complete the Ekadashi Parana as part of devotional service to please the Supreme Lord. And therefore, he drank a little water. There was nothing wrong. But although Durvasa Muni was a great mystic Brahmana, he did not know what is what. Prabhupada is like. That is the difference between a pure devotee and a so-called learned scholar of Vedic knowledge. The devotee is being always situated in the core of the Lord's heart. Surely get all instructions directly from the Lord. Tesham ivanukampartam aham agnanajam tamaha nashayamyatma bhavasto gnanadipena bhasvata. Out of compassion for them, my dwelling in their hearts destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So many times we might be stuck in ignorance and Krishna lights the lamp in our heart. Meaning he gives knowledge saying that this is not the way, this is what has to be done. The devotee does not do anything not sanctioned by the Supreme Lord. As it is said, Vaishnavayara kriya mudra vikeya na bhujaya. When the most learned or experienced person cannot understand the movements of a Vaishnava, pure devotee, none therefore should criticize a pure Vaishnava. Vaishnava knows his own business. In Prabhupada's language. Whatever he does is precisely right because he's always guided by the Supreme Person of Godhead. So we should understand a pure devotee is always guided by the Supreme Person of Godhead. So we have no business, like Prabhupada says, we have no business to poke our nose in their affairs, in whatever they are doing. Just leave it to them and Krishna. Bother about your own purification, we should bother about our own spiritual welfare and do sadhana, seva, put our head down. Put our head down means not that we should not lift our head at all. Meaning don't just simply bother about everything thinking that, I have the authority to speak or I will correct this person, I will correct that person. Again, I'm saying, it's not that we should close our eyes, but at the same time, it's not our full-time business to keep doing this. Leave that unwelcome act or very difficult to do act to people who are responsible for service, etc. But others can be peacefully engaged in loving service to Krishna. Okay, I'll stop here because I don't know. Okay, on last verse. Oh, Brahmana, let me now advise you for your own protection. Please hear from me. By offending Maharaja Ambarīṣa, you acted with self-envy. Self-envy means enmity towards ourselves, meaning the Atma. Therefore, you should go to him immediately without a moment's delay. One's so-called prowess, when employed against the devotee, certainly harms he who employs it. Thus, it is the subject, not the object, who is harmed. So, basically, Krishna is saying that you go to him, otherwise you will get destroyed because you caused that demon to appear and sent him behind Ambarīṣa Mahārāja, so you will get destroyed. A Vaishnava is always an object of envy for non-devotees, even when non-devotee happens to be his father. Give a practical example. Hiranyakashipu was envious of Prahlada, but this envy of the devotee was harmful to Hiranyakashipu, not to Prahlada. Every action taken by Hiranyakashipu against his son Prahlada was taken very seriously by the Supreme Lord. And thus, when Hiranyakashipu was on the verge of killing Prahlada, the Lord personally appeared and killed Hiranyakashipu. Service to a Vaishnava gradually accumulates and becomes an asset for the devotee. Similarly, harmful activities directed against the devotee gradually become the ultimate cause of the performer's fall down. Now, this is very, very important. It's not that we just blaspheme somebody, criticize somebody, that we immediately fall down. We won't immediately fall down. We'll fall down after some time. We'll fall down when our pot of offenses is reasonably full. At that time, we will not have strength to recover. Like that, we will fall down. So when we have little strength, we will not fall down. Because when we have little strength, maybe we will recover from that. But Krishna doesn't, punish us till then. So which means that we become really weak by this talking about others. And then suddenly one day, gone. Similarly, so even such a great Brahmana and mystic yogi as Durvasa was in the most dangerous situation because of his offense at the lotus feet of a pure devotee, Ambarīṣa Mahārāja. So we should understand this. See, loving service to Krishna, Krishna really takes those devotees, keeps them in his heart. So doing anything with such devotees is a recipe for destruction. And we should not bother about that. We should simply bother about figuring out how to enter Krishna's heart. That should be our business. Okay. So we'll stop here. If anybody has any comments, please make. Anything, anybody? Okay. Close. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyo Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namananta Koti Vaishnavandi ki jai, Samveta Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Hare Krishna.